Hey guys, and welcome back to our Let's Explore series. Today we are going to be exploring Serpentshrine Cavern. This is the next step in our quest through the Burning Crusade raids. This is the beginning of our Tier 5 gathering. As you can see here on my warrior, we have a full display of the warrior Tier 5 set. Combined with the Merciless Gladiator's Greatsword. There are a couple two-handed weapons that drop from inside Serpentshrine Cavern, but I was never too big of a fan of any of them, and I don't think I've really ever gotten any of them to drop anyway, so I don't have any of them for to display. So I thought I would just pair it with this Greatsword. Now, Serpentshrine Cavern is in Zangar Marsh. You see, it will be here in the Koafang Reservoir. There is a section there in the center where you can swim down into a pipe, and you'll follow the pipe through until you get up in here. You'll come in down there, and you'll swim up to the top. And Serpentshrine Cavern will be here in the center. There is no attunement for it. There's nothing you need to do to get in. You just basically walk right in, and you can begin your adventure. Now, as we enter into the raid, you're going to see there's an elevator here. When you first enter, the elevator may not be up at top, so be careful. You don't want to fall down and die. This is a very, very long drop. It is worth mentioning, I know we had briefly talked before about there is no attunement to enter to this raid. That was removed as of 2007. But there used to be, how Burning Crusade raids would function, was heavy progression in that. In order to get into one particular raid, you had to have completed the attunement, which was typically linked to the previous raid that was released. And so in order, you kind of had to start from the beginning and work your way up. Again, all that was removed, but the quests typically are still in the game, just for lore, and for originally back when they were removed, they were still current. So just more so for the challenge, but now just for some continuity in the lore. So that's kind of a neat thing if you're into the lore. Now, we have here, as you can see, the map, all the bosses scattered throughout. The cool thing about Serpentshrine Cavern is that it's pretty non-linear, in that if you wanted, you could just run right in and go straight to Lady Vosh, which is here at the end, and she is the final boss of this raid. You can kind of hit them up in any order you want. There's multiple paths to take. And then there's even one optional boss here in the center, which you can fish up. You don't need to have any particular skill in fishing. You just cast your line into the pool and hope you catch them. But we're going to keep moving on through. You will be in positions where you're fighting a lot of trash. Some of it's unavoidable, some of it is. So we're going to skip as much of the trash as we can. But some of it we won't have a choice but to hit. Our first boss here, Hydros the Unstable, is very straightforward. Nothing notable to really worry about. Even an undergeared player shouldn't have too much trouble clearing this. He does spawn some ads, which have very low health, so again, just AoE. Goes. We have the Tier 5 warrior lookalikes, or recolors. I always thought these kind of cool on an unholy DK, because they have that cool greenish tint to them, which is always kind of neat if you're going for like color themes for your spec and whatnot. And some people are into it. The little bit of lore behind some of the bosses in here. Lady Vosh is very closely connected to Illidan the Betrayer, who is the boss in Black Temple, and was kind of the main antagonist in this expansion, the Burning Crusade. Lady Vosh sided herself with Illidan Naga, according to Warcraft lore, interestingly enough, were actually at one point night elves. They, throughout the course of the years as they left and went their own way and kind of did their own thing as a group of night elves, they found themselves in the sea and transformed into Naga. I'm not quite sure how that works, but that is the lore. Now, down here is where we're going to find the lurker below. Just have some pesky piranhas that will pop up and try to attack you. The lurker below can take a few tries to get. It's not a guaranteed. Oops, we are in combat. Apparently we can't fish while in combat. It's not guaranteed first try to pull them up. You still have to click on your fishing rod to acknowledge when you get a catch, and hopefully you fish them up. There is an achievement for it though. I think it's for 10 achievement points. So you pick up a lot of trash, a lot of drinks, things like that, but this is the pool you want to fish in, and that will fish him up. So I'm not going to really label these as boss 1, boss 2, boss 3, really, since you can do so much of this in any order you want, which is kind of cool. I mean, if you're just coming in here for one boss or one thing, it makes it fairly easy to just kind of come in and get what you're looking for and not have to worry about messing with the rest of the bosses. I totally just missed my fishing line, that's okay. Too busy talking. Originally you did have to have a max level fishing skill for this to work, but not anymore, which is nice because I don't have time to level up fishing. It's just asking too much. Okay, not really, I just don't care. Hey, there he is, 15 tries later. Now the real challenge of this boss fight in Burning Crusade, from what I can remember, was this knockback. What he would do is he would knock you back, try to knock you off the platform into the water, into the piranhas. Those piranhas were no joke. But now it's not even an issue. And there goes the lurker below. Kind of a cool model though. I know you see him a lot in you see this model a lot in the Timeless Isle for like the behemoths or leviathans, things like that in Mists of Pandaria. So it's kind of cool that the model itself got reused to where it wasn't just for this one thing. But so after we're done with the lurker below, we're going to head back up this pipe and keep walking. And I'm just going to take the more straightforward path since we're going to do a full clear, which is going to be hanging a left here and kind of head up these wooden planks. Like I said, we're going to skip a lot of the trash just because it's not necessary. I think out of all the raids in the Burning Crusade, this one was the least visually appealing to me. I don't know, I didn't find it to be as enamoring as Tarzan or the Black Temple. Even Gruul's lair was a little bit more, I don't know, aesthetically appealing to me. I don't know, which is weird because it's just a cave. But maybe it was just the Gruul factor, I suppose, that he was in there and he had a cool presence in there. But it's okay. The bosses in here are pretty unique, pretty cool though. I'm just glad they didn't pull a Zelda on us and turn this into like an actual like water temple. I know Blizzard just kind of flirted with that idea for a bit, and the idea just terrifies me. Just does not sound like any kind of fun. Now with this boss, he's got the 3 ads holding him in place. And as soon as you kill them, out he comes. And he's got a couple phases on him. Once you damage him down to a certain percentage, you will, he'll actually transform, he'll kneel down, and he releases the inner demon. Usually killing one or the other works. Typically he dies first because it bleeds and AoEs. But this is where our first tokens drop for our tier, the gloves. And luckily I already have them, or I'd be thoroughly upset that 2 paladin pieces dropped and no warrior pieces, but it's okay. So on we go to our next leg in the raid. It's kind of cool going through these old raids here for Burning Crusade with Warlords of Draenor right around the corner. It's kind of a cool aesthetic reminder to kind of what kind of is going on, and the ultimate fate and kind of destiny of what's coming through with the Burning Crusade, and what we're trying to go back and prevent and change and all keep the same, the different things that we're doing in Warlords of Draenor for like lore and stuff, because everything looks so different just from what I've seen. I was really hoping to get beta access, so maybe I could bring some beta content coverage for you guys, but no such luck yet. But yeah, just everything is just so very different. I already know those, but kind of cool that some blacksmithing plans do drop in here off the trash mobs. Now this is the only room that I like to kind of kill the trash in, just because you kind of move around a lot for this boss fight. You hide a lot, and so to me, I just like to get as much of this trash out of the way as I can, so I don't have to deal with it later. Fathom Lord Carthres, my bad. He probably the most annoying boss fight in here, because what he'll do is he'll summon whirlwinds on the ground that will knock you up in the air, so I try to burst him down as quick as possible, just so I don't have to deal with it. And as you can see, as you start fighting him, all the other adds in the room spawn. But luckily we've got enough DPS to where it's not a problem. A little bit lower DPS, you will have to wrestle with the tornadoes and stuff like that. They just knock you up and down in the air, and they're just a pain in the butt. They make it really hard to cast anything if you're a caster. You're basically relying on instant casts, and then you kind of lose control of your character, so it's hard to direct anything melee-wise either. Now with these tokens that you're going to get, these rating tier tokens, what you're going to be able to do actually is you're able to turn them in for the recolored PvP sets that are very, very similar to them. So in this case for tier 5 it would be the Merciless Gladiator set, I believe. And you're able to turn those in to where that you don't have to grind the honor out for those sets if you don't want to. Which is kind of a cool little ability you can just run through here, especially if you get like multiple pieces coming through. You get like the same glove, you're like, oh dang, I can only use one tier glove. And then if you want, just go through, turn that in, and you can get your PvP reskin. Now this gentleman here, this lovely, lovely purple gentleman, Morogrim Tidewalker, he actually can drop a battle pet. So if you're into battle pets, it might be worth it for you to come in here. Regardless of transmog wants, desires, and be able to just get that battle pet. But again, nothing. The only bosses in here that really are fairly challenging, or just more so time consuming now, just with item levels and where our characters are at in game, is that previous boss, just because it can take a while sometimes to just get through and deal with his tornadoes if he does manage to get them off. And then the last boss, Lady Boss, just time consuming as compared to challenging. And down he goes, and we'll just AoE the rest of those warlocks. Matching plate boots for our tier 5 set. Another drop of those. There we go. So as you can see, we've made a full loop over here back around. We're going to find our way back out into this path. And from here, we're moving on to Lady Vosh, I believe. She's the only boss that is left. So like it's a very, very small raid boss-wise. Just a lot of walking. Oh, Naga. How I wish you were a playable race. I do. I just think they're one of the coolest looking. Like I would, without hesitation, Race changed my warrior to a Naga, no questions. Just more trash mobs over here in the corner. And if you look here, there's the center console here with the bridge where we're able to click. And there's Lady Vosh up there. Give it a minute for the bridge to assemble. Similar to Firelands, how you had to just click on the little thing there. Now with Lady Vosh, just a little bit of a breakdown before we get up and get the fight started. At 70%, she will bubble herself, and then a bunch of water elementals will spawn, and everyone that touches her and gets up to her, she gains a damage percentage, which isn't too much to worry about, again, just with item level where it is and health and stats and everything like that. But if you are lower geared, it might be a little bit of a concern. Now what we're looking at here is these 4 little nodes here at 70%. Again, after that's going on, there will be the water elemental spawning from down here. There will be fen striders, and there will be other mobs just spawning and spawning and spawning. Now there is one particular mob we are looking for, and it is the tainted elemental. I believe it is what it's called. And what you will do, they're green as opposed to blue for the rest of the water elementals, and you can always tell where they're at on the map because they will actually hurl just green water up over. So just kind of keep your eye on the horizon, and if you see that green water shooting up, you'll know that's where they're at. Now you need to kill them because they will drop the tainted core, which you need to disable these, which will then allow Lady Vosh to be attackable again. So you want to do that as quickly as you can. If you're doing this with friends, just to make it quicker, I recommend turning loot to free-for-all. That way whoever kills the tainted elementals will be able to just pick up the core and just go ahead and do it. That way you don't have to be like, oh, you got one over here, it's so-and-so's loot, and then you have to run all the way over, and it just takes longer. So that's my tip, my 2 cents, just to make it a little bit easier on yourself. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right in and get started. And again, not too much damage to worry about, though it is kind of funny if you let Lady Vosh sit in her bubble for long enough. She actually does get to, she gets to 999%. Now we were able to damage her down to 58%, which is kind of cool, makes our job a little bit easier. And so again, it's just kind of a running around and waiting game. As you can see, they spawn down here. You can just kind of kill them as you want, if you want to pass the time. But again, we are looking out for those green bits of water that will fly over. So we got Nagas coming over here. There's one. As you can see how it comes flying over here. And if you can look at Lady Vosh, she gains, I believe, 10% damage increase for every enchanted elemental that gets to her. And as you can see, that's something worth noting too. If you take too long to get to those tainted elementals, they do despawn. So that's worth noting, and actually I forgot all about that until just then. Noob mistake. Well, there's another one. So you want to try to get there as quick as you can. And there it is, tainted core. So we're going to head back up to the top. And plug that one right in. As you can see, she does get larger as the fight goes on. Don't let it intimidate you though. Again, there's nothing to really worry about, especially if you have like any kind of self-heal proccing over time. I do recommend that just because it helps with the life regen. You don't have to worry about popping any cooldowns or anything. These Coilfang Striders, originally back when this was current, you had to actually kite them around the room. You had to keep them, kind of kite them around the outside of the room. You had to assign someone to do it, because they would throw off a gnarly fear, which could put your whole raid down the pooper really, really quickly. The real challenge of this raid was just teamwork, making sure your whole raid was coordinated and working together as a team, because if they weren't, then this whole second phase would fall apart and it wouldn't matter how much DPS you had, which I thought was kind of an interesting mechanic, rather than just test how hard your DPS can go and how much stat stacking you could do and how well you knew your rotations. It was how well could you function as a team, which I think is kind of half the fun of a raid and stuff like that. Again, there's no hot dogs or anything like that. There's no Lone Rangers, just good old-fashioned teamwork. The bummer about the Tainted Elementals is that there's no particular order, at least that I've been able to figure out, that they spawn in. So they can kind of spawn anywhere, so you just have to really keep looking. And she is at 81 stacks. Sorry, 54. Looked like an 8 from the small number there. Which I can imagine at this point in the raid, if it was like actually current, it would just be a wipe. For increased damage of, 560% is kinda nuts. Oh, missed that one. I am noobing it up hard today. Oh, there's one more over here. There's that fear. Oh, dude. There we go. Luckily, none of these guys have too much health, so that makes it easier. Got to get rid of him so he doesn't keep fearing us. Oh my good lord. Not my best run, but that's okay. As long as we succeed right. I didn't promise perfect let's explore how to solo runs. I'm hiding behind that one. And that's my story and I'm sticking to it. So now she's at 82%. Oh jeez. A nightmare. I guess it could be a sushi chef's dream. Just like all the fish in here. Naga sushi. Sushi. There we go, that's our last one. Luckily we didn't drop the ball on that one. Now, bummer is that I can imagine would have been a pain in the butt back in the day, and it still is kind of now depending on your gear. She keeps her buffs after you have finished with the section here, getting all these off. She does keep her buffs, and so with that leg of the raid, how it would work is after you finish coordinating and getting your teamwork together, it was basically just a DPS race, because again she does keep all the buffs. And so you would want to down her as quick as we can. And hey, my helm dropped, finally. 2 of them, of course. I've been trying to finish up this set for a while. I've been having to use the Merciless Gladiators reskin. It looks close enough to it to where you can pull it off. But once you get the other one on, you can kind of see the orange tint that the Merciless Gladiators doesn't have. So that is Serpentshrine Cavern. Lady Vosh. And fairly straightforward, just a little bit more time consuming. Raid, this is one of the ones I definitely recommend just bringing a friend along with. It's fun. Makes this last fight go a little bit easier and a little bit quicker. So if you're just in a hurry, then that's kind of cool. But again, sometimes it's fun just to come in and not have to worry about sharing loot. So if you have any questions, if something didn't make sense, if I skipped over anything, or if you have maybe a favorite memory or favorite thing that happened while raiding Serpentshrine Cavern, go ahead and leave it in the comments below. Please don't forget to leave a like, thumbs up. Don't forget to share if you have friends that are interested in this type of content. Greatly appreciated. To those, we've got a couple more subscribers over the past week, and so I just want to say thank you and welcome to the channel. I hope you enjoy your stay and you continue to enjoy the content that is produced here. I'm in a current state of trying to reevaluate the direction that I want to go with the channel, even though we're still small. So I'm still trying to figure out, what works, what doesn't, what I enjoy making, what I don't. I am currently still in the process of gathering footage and kind of getting a script or an idea down for my next PvP video. So hopefully that will be up within the next few weeks, or at least nothing less. Begin working on it. Just making sure we get the right clips that can be a little bit time consuming. Not to make excuses, but just trying to be as genuine and forthcoming as possible. With that, I think that is everything. It's fairly old news now, but if you haven't yet, please do check out Legacy of Warrior PvP montage on the channel. It was the first major full-length PvP montage that we put together. I'm really excited and happy with how it came out. Hopefully, again, it's something you guys will find entertaining, because it is something I definitely want to be doing more of. Other than that, I think that'll do it. So I will see you guys next time.